I published a long video last night about the Keenan Anderson case, where this is a man who was tased by the cops in Los Angeles and died later, ostensibly from the tasing, but I have my doubts about that. Whatever the case, the video last night got really long. I broke it up into two, and I published one of those previously, so I'll put a link to that video in my description below. We're going to go ahead and pick up part two here. This is the Joy Reid show, and it's about as bad as it gets. Her special guest is Teresa Cullors. I think her first name is Teresa. I'm not sure, but her last name is Cullors. She's a co-founder of Black Lives Matter. It turns out that her cousin was the dude that got tased, and the idiocy that you're going to now experience is pretty amazing, and it shows you just how badly our mainstream media has become in this country. So before we begin, let's just make sure everybody understands. Keenan Anderson is a public school teacher in Los Angeles. He was high on coke. He had also marijuana in his system, and because of that, he got into a car wreck. He fled the scene of the wreck and then tried to hijack an Uber. Remember, he's a public school teacher. When the police accosted him, he was absolutely berserk, babbling incoherently, then ran from the cop, and to try to subdue him, they tased him twice, and he later died from his injuries. So let's pick it up to where we left off. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
He didn't have quite the protection.
Our movement was founded by 3 women over the issues of police brutality, systemic racism, and violence inflicted on Black communities by the state and by vigilantes. A cruel irony has now emerged where one of the founders now finds herself in a position where a family member is a victim of such violence.
Just a cousin, who cares?
The Los Angeles Police Department has released body cam footage showing its officers tasing Keenan Darnell Anderson on January 3rd. Police say Anderson, a teacher and father.
A teacher? Oh, yeah, great. How would you like to have him teaching your kids? Remember, he's all coked out and he causes an accident and tries to carjack somebody. And this is your public school teacher. Well, I assume it's a public school teacher.
Died at a hospital after he suffered a medical emergency about 4 hours after he was arrested. Now we're going to show
4 hours after he was arrested, and we're blaming the cops.
Parts of the footage now, but I want to warn you and warn our guest that it is disturbing.
Not really. I mean, I've watched a hell of a lot worse than this. Again, I've been preparing for the auto racing video, and believe me, this is nothing.
Get up against the wall. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Get up against the wall.
I didn't mean to. Gee, that doesn't sound very innocent.
Get up against the wall. Get up against the wall real quick.
Please.
Okay,
Please,
hold on
bro.
a second.
Please,
Hold
sir.
on a
I didn't
second.
mean to, sir. Please.
Help me, please. You know what? Help me, please.
Now notice they cut out a lot here, and that is done on purpose. He had a long spell where he's babbling incoherently, refusing to go along with the police officers, and they edited it out. Yeah, this is how you do it. This is how you frame a narrative. And it's called intellectual dishonesty, or what we call lying.
No, please help me. Help me, please. Please. You're trying to George Floyd me.
They cut to, they're trying to George Floyd me. Again, edited.
You're trying to George. Stop it. Stop it. I'm going to tase you. I'm going to tase him. They're trying to kill me. They're trying to kill me. Stop it.
Joining me now is Patrisse Cullors, co-founder of the Black Lives Matter movement and Keenan Anderson's cousin. And I want to apologize for your having to see that again, Patrisse. And thank
Apologize? Why? She joined your show. She knows that you're going to play it again. Why are you apologizing? Again, this is called grandstanding. It fools nobody.
you for being here. And I just want to, just pause for a moment and give you a chance to tell us about Keenan in life so that we can know who he was.
Oh, get ready here, everybody. We're going to get the truth about Keenan.
Thank you. It's
I will work my hardest to get through this segment. Keenan was a mentor. He was a teacher. He was a proud family member. We come from a very big family. Our grandmothers migrated from Louisiana to make a better life for themselves.
Our grandmothers immigrated. It sounds to me like he was like a second or third cousin.
And their children and their children's children here in Los Angeles, California. We spent a lot of time coming together for family picnics and family gatherings. And Keenan was really proud of the movement of Black Lives Matter. And I believe the work that he did teaching young children at the 10th grade level at the school he was working at, the Digital Pioneers Academy.
I wonder if the 10th grade students, if they watched what he was doing there, babbling incoherently while drugged out on cocaine, I wonder how they feel about that.
Was part of his contribution to helping change and bring love and care to young Black kids.
Thank you for that, because we want to know that these hashtags are people, and so I wanted you to have the opportunity to talk about him as a person. This is the statement from Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, and this is on the deaths of your cousin, but also on of Oscar Sanchez and Takar Smith, two other young men who died in police custody between January 2nd and January 3rd.
I'd like to know what actually happened. We'll look at that later.
She says, I have grave concerns about the deeply disturbing tapes that were released. Full investigations are underway. I'm deeply troubled that mental health experts were not called in, even when there was a documented history of past mental health crisis. In the case of Keenan.
Past mental health crisis, and he's teaching 10th grade.
What do you believe happened? And do you believe that he had a mental health crisis underway? Do you have some understanding of what happened to get it to the point where he was tased?
I don't know what happened. I can't.
That's not good. When they say, we don't know what happened, they know what happened. They just don't want to admit it.
I can't read the minds of LAPD, and I definitely don't know what my cousin was going through in those last hours of his life. But what I do know, based off of watching the video with my family, is that he looked scared.
Yeah.
He looked like he was in need of help and support. And in fact, that's exactly what he asked for. He asked for help. He then begged for help. And then he pleaded for help.
So I guess the officers should have just let him go. What were they expected to do? I mean, he's a danger to the community. He's a raving lunatic. And he's trying to run into the community. What are they expected to do? And you know what? I'm sorry. Your cousin had, let's say, a mental health crisis. That's on him. It's his problem. He should not make his mental health crisis the cop's problem.
And for many of us who have been leading this work for so long, the question here is, why are we having cops show up to traffic stops? Why is that the answer?
There was a collision. I mean, he was involved in an actual accident. And she's wondering, well, why did the cops have to be there? Are you going to call a social worker out on traffic accidents? I mean, jeez. I mean, does any of this make any sense at all?
We need to push, Mayor Bass, city council members, to challenge the ways in which we're using law enforcement on a daily basis here in this city.
Blame the cops, in other words.
You put up a tribute to Keenan on your Instagram, and the caption says, Keenan was killed by LAPD. You also wrote, my cousin was an educator and who worked with high school age children. He was an English teacher. And in that tribute we're showing right now. You have been at this work since you co-founded the Black Lives Matter movement. for your own cousin to then join the hashtags that we all memorized
He was an English teacher? Interesting.
over time. What, in your view, has changed, if anything? Has anything changed? And if not, what needs to change?
One thing that I'll say is that the people are ready for change. We've been ready for change for many years. In fact, we just lived through, just 2 years ago, uprisings in which communities were calling for a different relationship to law enforcement.
We're ready for a change too. We're ready for people to start acting like mature adults when they are encountered by the police. Well, how about not committing crimes? I'm looking for that change. But I'm also looking for people that when the police pull them over, don't act like raving loons. That's another one. And also, I'm looking for another change. I'm looking for them not to start running off and trying to get away with crime and doing coke and acting like raving lunatics. That's the change I'm looking for.
But not much has changed policy-wise. At the local level, at the statewide level, and at the national level, what we're asking for locally, we're asking for Chief Moore to step down or be fired. We want to pull police out of traffic stops and other places. They should not be dealing with mental health care crisis. They should not be in schools, parks, or in housing facilities.
Yeah.
My cousin was tased multiple times. Less lethal does not mean non-lethal.
Oh, so now you're upset about the tasing. So first of all, it was cop shootings. Why aren't the cops using their tasers? Why are they using their guns? And now, why are they using their tasers? I mean, what the hell? The reason why they're using tasers is because when they come across a person who's absolutely out of his mind, they can be really tough to handle and very dangerous. Don't kid yourself, Colors. You haven't been on any of these stops. You pull somebody over at midnight in a really tough neighborhood who's got half his brake lights out, and you walk up to that door, and then you tell me how a social worker is going to handle that.
We need to see more of the footage, release the unedited footage of this murder. And
oh, it's a murder now. Oh, so we need to release more footage. Why? You've already made your decision that it's a murder.
We want to end qualified immunity that shields police from being accountable.
In other words, we want to be able to sue cops so we can get money.
Well, we're going to keep following this story. Patrice Cullors, who, along with Opal Tometi and Alicia Garza, founded Black Lives Matter.
You're not going to pursue the study. You're going to drop it like a hot potato once the facts start to come out. It's always this way. Whatever happened to Jaheim McMillan, huh? Were you following that story? For some reason, after the mothers saw the actual footage of the body cam, we haven't heard anything more from her, nor that idiot lawyer, Benjamin Crump. They've been very silent. They're not pursuing the story. You're not going to pursue the story anymore either. You got your outrage out, and now you're just going to move on to the next one.
Thank you, and our deepest, deepest condolences to you, and please share those with your family as well. Thank you, Patrice.
Hell, I don't even know she even knew the dude that well. It sounds like he was a second cousin, and I definitely don't know any second cousins. So whatever the case, this is just another example of where we promote bad behavior in people when they encounter the police and bad things happen to them. Look, I'm not exactly a fan of the police. I've harped on them quite a few times here when they've done stupid things. This ain't one of them. That cop was fine. He did everything he could to try to control that guy and keep him from getting hurt. But you know what? The guy was just stupid. And that's what it comes down to. He was stupid and got himself hurt. However, I still don't think that the tasers were the problem. I think he probably overdosed. Like my videos, subscribe to my channel.